Hey y'all, it's your girl TAESHiA back with another one. Some of you know, many of you don't, that I've been taking care of myself. Yes, indeed. And part of that self-care is mental health. And so for the past few months, your girl has been going to therapy, trying to get my entire life together. So it started this way. I was taking an acting class, and when I was alone and rehearsing lines and preparing for this monologue, I could really dig in, right? I could get there. So much so that I could bring myself to tears. However, when I got in front of the class, I just wasn't connecting the same way. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And week after week, I was getting the same critique. And it was, I'm not being vulnerable enough. Somehow I'm intellectualizing the script, right? And the dialogue. And while I felt like I was in it, you know, my acting coach was like, it's just not, there's a disconnect. And she kept saying this, and I couldn't understand what she meant by that. Like, okay, what am I supposed to do? I'm saying the right words, I have the right emotion behind the words, and yet there was a disconnect. And I started thinking. I remember the last time she gave me that critique, I really felt like beat down, because it was like 4 weeks in a row. Every time I got up, she was saying the same thing. And then the last time she said that, she said, I've said this to you, however many times I said this to you, and it's still the same thing. And I just couldn't understand what she was talking about. And I went to the car and I cried. I did, because I felt super frustrated. I felt like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you ever been at that place where you're just like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I don't know. I want to do this. I want it to be right. It's just not coming across the way that it needs to. And so I decided that I was going to go to therapy. Because in the car that moment, I had to be honest with myself that this was not the first time that it was the first time someone told me that I had an issue with being vulnerable, but it was kind of like confirmation. Like, I already knew within myself. And I started to think about, at the time I was talking to someone, and I started to think about that particular relationship and how I had allowed it to kind of play out, knowing that I was thinking and feeling certain things, but I wasn't sharing, right? And it was kind of like this, I'm not gonna share with you because I'm not exactly sure where you are. And vulnerability doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. And so, moment of truth. I'm gonna take my butt to counseling. I'm someone who is super reflective. I think about my past a lot, where I am, what's happening, my relationships. And I knew that something was up. And so yeah, I got on the phone the next morning. I called 3 therapists. I text someone who I thought could recommend someone good to me. I got 3 numbers. I called all 3, and I spoke to one lady, and her voice was so soothing. I was like, yeah, she's the one I want to tell all my problems to. It's her. Shout out to my therapist. She's awesome. And side note, if you feel like you want to talk to somebody, you need a recommendation, hit me up, inbox me, DM me, whatever, text me if you have my number, and I will certainly share that information with you. So yeah, it's been a number of weeks, few months. I've completed my sessions, which means that, you know, I'm at a place where I can process my emotions. I'm at a place where I'm making different choices in relation to other people. I've set boundaries, and overall, I just feel so much better. I wanted to do this video in light of all what's happening around the world. Seems like suicide is nothing new, right? And while I wasn't suicidal, I went to therapy for a different reason. It's not so far. I don't feel like it's so far removed from, you know, from me. It could be anyone. It really can. Depression is no joke. Anxiety is no fun. And so I just kind of want to encourage you guys. You know, if you feel like you need to speak to someone, reach out. There are people out here that want to help. You are not alone. And don't look at therapy and counseling as like this bad thing. Like it means I'm crazy. Or, you know, I know some of us grew up with that whole, what happens in the house stays in the house, and you don't talk your business with anyone, to anyone. You just kind of keep that private and keep it to yourself. And telling a therapist what's happening with you is so helpful. I can't stress that enough. And it's not, you know, it's a safe place. Your business stays there. You know, you don't have to worry about all these things that I think we worry about. We gotta like destigmatize therapy, counseling. If you're of a particular faith, find a counselor of that same faith. If you're a Christian and you want a Christian counselor, they're out here. If you're Muslim and you need, you know, someone who is Muslim, they're out here. Like it just, there's no excuse not to get the help, not to delve into our issues. We all have baggage, some more than others. Some bags are heavier than others. And we got to start unpacking that. We're on this journey to, you know, to our dreams. Like, it's too heavy. You're carrying too much stuff. You want to get to the next point and you're tired physically, spiritually, mentally. You're drained. You're fatigued. You're carrying too much. It's not helping you. It's time to let go. It's time to drop those bags. And again, this is your responsibility. You know, I think this, when someone hurts you, right? Someone wrongs you, it's their fault. Someone knocks you down, it's their fault. If you stay down, the fault is now yours. And so you have to take responsibility. Will Smith has this video going around on Facebook that I love. And he says, it doesn't matter who broke your heart. It's your heart. It's your job to fix it. And so taking responsibility and being accountable for where we are in life is paramount. And yeah, I did that. I'm doing that. And anytime I feel too stressed or I feel like I need a little bit of help, guidance, direction, I pray, yes. But sometimes talking it out helps. It helps us to process. It helps us. And sometimes, you know, you're offered a new perspective that you may not, you know, because when we're in something, sometimes it's hard to see different perspectives. And so it's so important. If, you know, you don't have anyone around you that you can trust, you don't have friends or family that can kind of rally behind you or someone to speak to, find someone to talk to. And you can thank me later.